Once upon a time, in a small village nestled between tall mountains, there lived a young man named Leo. Leo was strong, smart, and full of dreams. He wanted to be the best blacksmith in the land, creating swords and tools that would last for generations. But there was one problem. Leo hated failure. Every time he made a mistake, he felt ashamed. He believed that failure meant he was weak, that he would never be good enough. One day, an old traveler named Marcus arrived in the village. He was known as a wise man who had seen many lands and learned many lessons. Leo, hearing of Marcus's wisdom, decided to ask him for advice. "Master Marcus," he said, "how can I become great? I want to be the best blacksmith, but I fear making mistakes. Every time I fail, I feel like giving up." Marcus smiled and sat by the fire. "Leo," he said, "let me tell you a story. Long ago, in a distant kingdom, there was a master swordsmith named Kael. His blades were legendary, sharp enough to cut through stone, yet light as a feather. Warriors from all over the world sought his weapons. But before Kael became a master, he was just like you, afraid of failure. When Kael was young, his first sword broke the moment it was tested. His second sword bent like a twig. His third sword was too heavy to lift. Each failure made him furious. He thought he would never succeed. One night, in despair, he threw his tools into the river and swore he would never forge again. But his old master, a man with hands scarred from years of work, found him by the riverbank. "Kael," he said, "why do you run from failure?" Kael shouted, "Because failure means I am weak." His master shook his head. "No, failure is the best teacher you will ever have. Every broken sword, every mistake is a lesson. If you run from them, you will never learn." Kael listened, though he did not fully understand. He picked up his tools and returned to the forge. This time, instead of fearing mistakes, he studied them. When a blade cracked, he examined why. When metal bent, he learned how to make it stronger. Slowly, his swords improved. Years passed, and with each failure, Kael grew wiser. His hands became steady, his mind sharp. And one day, he forged a blade so perfect it became legend. Marcus looked at Leo. "Do you see now? Kael became great not because he avoided failure, but because he learned from it. Failure is not your enemy, it is your teacher." Leo thought deeply. He had always seen failure as a sign of weakness, but Marcus' story changed his mind. The next day, he returned to his forge with a new spirit. When his hammer struck metal and the shape was wrong, he did not despair. He studied it. When a blade cracked, he examined the flaw and tried again. Months passed, then years. Leo's hands grew calloused, his skills refined. His swords, once brittle, now gleamed with strength. Warriors from other villages came to him, praising his work. But Leo never forgot the lesson Marcus had taught him, that failure was not the end, but the beginning of wisdom. One evening, as Leo sat by his forge, a young boy approached him. The boy's eyes were full of doubt. "Master Leo," he said, "I want to be a blacksmith, but I'm afraid of making mistakes. What if I fail?" Leo smiled and put a hand on the boy's shoulder. "Let me tell you a story," he said. And so the cycle continued, the wisdom of failure passing from one generation to the next. Because the truth is, failure is not something to fear. It is the best teacher we will ever have. It shows us our weaknesses, corrects our mistakes, and makes us stronger. Without failure, there is no growth. Without mistakes, there is no mastery. So the next time you stumble, remember, you are not falling, you are learning. And that is how greatness is born. The end.